to thank Miriam Bracha for sponsoring this video. It's in memory of her late husband, Professor Eugene Heimler, who was a survivor of Auschwitz and other concentration camps. And after his survival, he developed a model of healing in which negative forces are utilized for creativity and positive action. And he had a very unique way of being a psychiatric psychotherapist, and he helped thousands of struggling people find purpose and meaning in their lives. And Miriam was married to him in the last 5 years of his life. I must say when you read his books, he was really a psychotherapist of international fame. And Miriam was, as I said, married to him for the last 5 years of his life. She knew him first as a student, then as a colleague, then as a wife, and brought him a lot of happiness and comfort and solace in the last 5 years of his life. So his yahrzeit is now in the Zayin B'Kislev, and we thank her for dedicating this Dvar Torah, the Ilui Nishmato, an amazing person. I just want to tell you that this is a book, Night of the Mist, over here, part of many books that he wrote. There's an introduction over here by Elie Wiesel, in which he actually ends off and he says, that the late Professor Heimler he had an extraordinary faith in man after everything that he went to. I mean, it's just so horrific. And he ends up with a question. Elie Wiesel says, how can we believe in the future or in eternity in a place where the future of men was flouted and annihilated? And he ends off, we have no answers to these questions, but we have a person who was able to face them and have faith in humanity and help people to have faith in humanity. Just an incredible person. And we'd like to thank Miriam for sponsoring this Dvar Torah. And I tried to choose something which would be appropriate to who he was. The thing that I chose therefore was the struggle of Yaakov and Esav. And there's 2 points that I want to make about this, or 3 points that I want to make about the struggle. The first one is in a form of the first one is the question: how can a man struggle and wrestle with an angel? I mean, an angel is not a physical being. An angel is a spiritual being. So how does Yaakov struggle? How does he wrestle and fight with such a spiritual being? That's number one. The second point is, why did Yaakov actually have to struggle with the angel in the first place? There's that will come to. That's another question. And the third question, which is a very peculiar comment and explanation that Rashi makes. Rashi makes nothing of his own. That's what makes the commentary of Rashi so unique. Just to remember this point that I'm making. It's not my point, Afka, but just to remember this very important point, that what's so unique about Rashi's commentary to the Chumash is that 99% of what he says is he's quoting explanations from the Talmud and the Midrashim or his teachers about it. There's nothing really of his own. Of course, the unique thing is, why did Rashi choose these commentaries and not other commentaries? Why did he choose this Gemara, not that Gemara, that Midrash, or not this Midrash? So that's what makes Rashi so unique. But everything that Rashi tried to show us, that without the explanations of the Talmud and Torah Shebaal Peh and the Midrashim, you cannot understand a single a word of Tanakh. That is what was so unique and special about Rashi's commentary. To get back to the point, the third point that we want to ask is, Rashi makes a comment that the Torah tells us that that Yaakov and the angel struggled the entire night, and then the angel saw that he despite the wound of Yaakov, he just couldn't overcome him. In fact, Yaakov was had the better upper hand. And then he said, "Vayar ki lo yacholo." He saw that he couldn't. The angel saw that he couldn't overcome him, and he wounded him. And then he said to him, "Vayomer shocheni." He said to Yaakov, "Send me, ki ala shachar." Now the dawn's about to break. Vayomer lo ashalachacha kim berachtani. I won't send you away until you bless me. And Rashi says on that pasuk, on those words, "Send me because the dawn's about to break." I mean, so Rashi says, "V'tzarich ani lomar shira." I have to say shira. I have to say a song with the other angels. So what exactly does that mean? That he has to go back to heaven to sing songs of the day. So let's start off as follows. That of course, Rashi. Why did Yaakov have to struggle with the angel? In fact, there's an opinion that says that he wanted to avoid struggling with Esav and meeting Esav, and Hashem pushed him into the struggle. Hashem reminded him that he took upon himself to serve Yaakov took upon himself to serve Hashem with bitachon, with absolute trust and faith. And a person who's got trust and faith doesn't know a fear in the world. And therefore Hashem pushed him into a situation where he had to struggle with a malach. And I'm coming to the second point, is that how did we struggle with a malach? A malach is something that is not tangible. So the idea is that he struggled with the ideas. It was a wrestling of the minds. It was the mind, the malach, the forces were coming to deflect and to prevent Yaakov from being immersed in Torah, to be immersed through the Torah with the Kadosh Baruch Hu, and all the distractions and all the arguments and all the philosophies against Torah. This is what Yaakov Avinu struggled with the Malach, and he was overcame him. That his Torah was absolute, complete. There was nothing then, no argument in the world, no proof in the world, no philosophy in the world could now overcome Yaakov, in that to know that the Torah is met, and this through the Torah one is able, the learning of the Torah in its absolute depth is to be connected to Hashem. And lastly, and here we come to the crux, and that is, what does it mean that he said to Yaakov, this angel said to Yaakov, "Send me because I have to say Shira." So what Yaakov taught us was that when there's a struggle of ideas, there's a struggle of identity, there's a struggle of Torah. So we cannot run away from the struggle. We cannot think that, oh, you know what, we'll avoid an Esav, we'll avoid what Esav is saying, we'll sue for peace, we'll try to be meek, we'll try to be pacifist. That, as Rav Soloveitchik said, is wrong from A to Z. It is totally un-Jewish, totally not only un-Jewish, it's total sheker, it's total falsehood. And Hashem then pushed the Yaakov to combat Esav, to struggle with these ideas, to convince and to persuade and to verify that in the emet of the Torah, and not to shy away from a confrontation, because all these are just nisyonot. And the whole inyan, maybe I can suggest, of the inyan of the malach saying Shira is that in the end, that Esav himself, who's a malach, he is sent to test Yaakov. And when you see that Yaakov is victorious, not only does he say Amen to him, but he sings a song of praise to him. And Eugene Heimler was one of those people. He was one of those people who, through all the horrors of the Holocaust, he developed like a system of healing, of not shying away, but using the pain, Dafka using the pain and the torment, the terrible horrors, in order to bring peace of mind to the people who went through it. It's an unbelievable concept, which I'd like to speak about in another time. It's called, in the Kabbalah, Hamtakat Hadinim, the sweetening of judgment. The sweetening of judgment is not through avoiding judgment. The sweetening of judgment occurs paradoxically by totally immersing oneself in the pain of the judgment. And then when one chooses on it and knows how to use it, one then finds a catharsis, a sense of healing. How that happens, that was one of the things that he wanted to do. That, as I say, will be a shiurin. But this is what we learn from Yaakov. From Yaakov, we learn that when a person has the struggle, when he struggles with all his heart and the main thing is with his mind, and he's victorious, then even the enemy, not only does he admit defeat, but he sings a praise. He says to Yaakov, let me go up now and to sing a shirah. I failed to convince you, and you were the victorious one, and because I'm only a malach to test you, I'm going to go back to heaven and say that you were, now what? To sing a song of praise that you were able to menatzeach in this victory. Well, all of you should have a Shabbat Shalom.